Alright, so continuing the series, we have built the top frame, the bottom frame, and now we're going to put the two together. To start that off, we have to build this electronics panel for the back, and we're just going to get into it. So here's our back panel, okay? I did in the two colors. I wanted a little bit of pop, you know, be a little bit extra. But we're actually gonna flip this over to take a look at the back. And we need to do a little bit of gluing. So to do that, we're gonna get them all lined up. So this is what we're aiming for. Down here, you have some cutouts right here. That is for wire pass through. You want to make sure that you pop out the right one for your needs. If you're doing triple Z, go ahead and pop out both of them. If you're doing the single Z, you're going to pop out the one that doesn't have the hole for the bed. Just grab a utility knife, score along the cutouts that are already there. Be careful not to cut yourself. There you go. Now you have a pass through for your wires. So let's get this back in line. And so you're going to make sure that your glue strips are in the right direction. So just go ahead and lay them in there. And then you can start with one of them. Okay, so I'm going to start with this bottom panel. You put some glue down here on both sides. You don't need to do too much. And then we're going to lay this like so, getting them right up on each other, making sure everything's lined up so that way when you go to screw your DIN rails in, everything's lined up. And I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of activator to keep it in place. And now we're going to do the same for the top. And we are glued up. Okay, so now we're going to move over to the DIN rails. Okay, so you have one 200mm DIN rail for the top. Go ahead and line that up. And then you'll have two 350mm DIN rails. And those will go in the middle and on the bottom. And then you should have 18 of your DIN rail connectors, so let's go ahead and grab those. And you're going to need M3x6 screws. So we have those here. And you're just going to use 2 per. Okay, you're not going to need all 18 of these if you don't want to. I don't think it's completely necessary to use all of them, but you know, you printed them, so might as well go for it. Okay, so DIN rails are installed. I have a few extra. That's fine. I think 15 is going to be plenty for this. So here is our panel. We have our pass through here. And now we're going to move on to the frame assembly. Alright, so let me get the lower frame and set it over here. Okay, so apologize for the angled picture, but this is the best way that I could get the whole frame in view. So let's go ahead and get everything together. We're going to get some M3s with some T-nuts on here so that we can slide it into place. So I'm going to go ahead and do that over here. Okay, so we are back with the back panel with all of the T-nuts installed, and we're going to slide this right down.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Ensure that everything seats properly. And now we're going to tighten these screws, so let's turn this. Okay, so we have our loaded frame, and I'm going to flip this over and lose some screws, but that's okay. I'm just going to get it in place.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up. Okay, so we left off with the steppers. So what we want to do is we want to take our stepper motor and make sure that the center point of this pulley is 12.5 millimeters above the flat part, not the raised part. So let's grab our calipers and measure. And right now our pulley is a little low. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to raise it up. And then we're going to repeat for the other side. Alright, so we're not doing the stepper cooling in this printer just yet. Do want to note is that if you are doing the stepper cooling, you will have another layer here. So make sure that when you're printing your parts, that you're, just like I said in the first video,
that your calibrations are on point, your flow is good, and your pressure advance is good, because if that's off, it's gonna change the thickness of the top of the stepper cooling housing, and you're gonna run into issues with getting the screws to bite into the stepper, unless you can find 27mm screws. So, but going forward, we're gonna go ahead and install these using M3 by 25 screws that I have here, and I'm just going to go ahead and drop these in place. And I'm going to get the belts. We're going to run the belts, and I will show you some neat features that are on here as far as routing the belts go. So let me go grab the belts and I'll be back. So we're back with the belts, and one thing I do want to note, the bed carriage, as you can see, I already have it installed. There will be a separate video on that, since this one is the cast bed. The cast bed with the AC heater. I went into more detail about setup and the wiring for that. So go ahead and check that video out. So we're at the belts now. So RH designed this cool feature with these little L brackets that go in and hold the belts in place, and they do a really good job. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to ensure that our belts are the same exact length, and we're going to go ahead and route them as shown in this picture. But you have your openings for the belts right here. So we're going to take our top belt and we're going to put it in, and we're going to go about halfway to the C carriage, the X carriage right here, about halfway, and then we're going to take our belt clip, and from the back you're going to insert it. You're going to get it lined up with the hole. And once you have it lined up, just give the belt a tug, and it will pull it in place. And now you have your belt secured, and we're going to run it through the top pulley on this side going back. And I just like to bring it all the way to the tool head. It just makes it easier. And then we're going to come around the top of the stepper here. So, and then you're going to come in front of this pulley. Around the stepper, like so. And then this part might be a little tricky, but don't forget you have another bearing stack in the back. So when you're looking at your pulley on your stepper, there is an opening, so you may need to just kind of bend your belt over like that. Give it a little bit of a bend, and then slide it back. If you need to, you can grab your Allen wrench and just kind of guide it. Guide it back like so. And as you can, I don't know if you can see this yet, but it is coming out of the channel
on this side. So we're just going to go ahead and hold that nice and tight. And now we are around this bearing, the pulley, and the bearing inside. And we're going to come out through the front of here. There's a small square hole in the back that you're going to enter through. And it may be easier to remove the tensioner block. So we're going to go ahead and do that so that you can see this a little bit better. So just kind of pinching the belt against the extrusion. I like to slide it through. And we may need to persuade it. Turning this pulley. And once that comes out, we'll just go ahead and pull it nice and tight. And then we'll take our tensioner block and we'll go in through here. And it will go out, and we can slide that back in place. Reinstall the screw. Making sure to leave it all the way loose. And then we're going to go on the inside of this pulley. Like so. Back over to the tool head. Now, as you can see, I have a lot of extra, and that's okay. We'll go through, get that nice and tight. Can leave a little slack for tension, but it doesn't have to be too loose. And then we're going to take our other belt keeper and install it in there. I like to pull it a little bit tighter, that way when you're installing the keeper, the belt's going to loosen up anyways. So that's in there. And then what you want to do is you want to count how many teeth you have left on this side and match this top one. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 threads, 6 teeth on this side. So we're going to go ahead and take our snips and count, sorry for my head, we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to cut, and that'll ensure that our belt is equal length. And we'll do the next one. So now we have 4 equal belts. And now we can tension them. Each screw, a little tension, nothing too crazy. And move these back and forth. We want to make sure that the tool head stays centered. Now that the belts are routed and the tool head is still centered when moving back and forth, we can go ahead and we can grab our belt tension meter and tension our belts. So I like to tension these the same as I do with the majority of my printers, and I use this tool and I set it to 2.1. That is the tension that I have had good results with. So I go in here and we are very loose. We're at 1. So I'm going to go halfway to where I want to be. So I'm going to go to 1.5. And then I'm going to repeat on the opposite side, and I'm going to tighten them together to make sure that they are even. 2. So I'll call that a win. We have our belts tensioned. Toolhead stays nice and level.
Okay, so now the toolhead assembly. The toolhead assembly will really dictate the setup that you chose. So if you happen to choose the same equipment that I have, which is unlikely just because there's so many different ways that you can configure this, then you can follow along. However, just take what I do and take the notes from it and adapt to your system. I'll be using the Bamboo Labs hot end, but I'm using the FXD Conch Plus, and I have my FXD Extruder, which I am finalizing the housing on, so that will be going on this as well. But we can go ahead and we can get the toolhead portion mounted up. So with your Bamboo Labs hot end, with your hot end in general, you want to install it into your shroud, and then you want to secure it in place. As far as the extruder mount goes, I'm going to use the FXD adapter because I had an extra one and I really like the way that these connect, so I'm going to go ahead and mount this on. Okay, now I have my FXD adapter screwed onto my extruder adapter, and the other extras that I'm running on this is I am going to run my BD sensor probe that I have. If you are interested in a BD sensor, I do have some in stock, so check out the website and you can get it a lot faster than ordering it from China. I have my JSD connector bracket. I'm going to give this a try on this one. These JSDs just push in place and you can glue them in place on the back. I haven't done that yet. This will be done most likely off camera, and then our cable management. So I'm also going to be running the 4010 shroud. So let's go ahead and grab our fans and get this mounted up. Okay, with the tool head, we have a 3010 fan. This is a GDS time fan, and we're going to slide that in. With the pigtail, you have an opening right here that you want your wires to be fed through. So go ahead and get that prepared. Make sure that that's in line. Okay, and then once that's in place, we're going to slide our 4010 fan inside this channel, and you'll notice that this wire, your hot end wire, so you'll notice that your hot end wires, the hot end fan has a channel down here. So go ahead and hold that in place while you slide your blower fan in with the opening pointing down. So you can just slide that in and it clicks in place. And on the other side, you're going to take your fan and you're going to bring your wires around the back side of the fan, because you have another channel in here that you want these wires to go into, and slide that in, keeping it in the channel like so. And there you have your shroud with your fan setup. And we can go ahead and mount the hot end
to the front, and then the shroud and the extruder tab. Okay, so this is going to be the process for securing your hot end to the X mount. We're going to use M3x6 screws to mount this. So let's go ahead and add those. Okay, so we're going to mount our hot end like so. So now we'll take our fan shroud and we'll slide that over the hot end like so. And we're going to secure the fan with M3x20 screws. So make sure that is nice and flat. And go ahead and get your screws in there. To route the wires up and through the middle part. So now we're going to install our extruder plate. We're going to use M3x35 screws. So the wider part is going to go in the front, just like so. And we're going to just push these right through. And tighten that up. So now we're going to go ahead and mount the probes. So let me grab my BD sensor. So this is the BD sensor. This is an eddy coil style probe. This is the type M. This one is very lightweight, weighing in at only about 1.5 grams, I believe. And this offers the fast bed scanning that you see in other probes such as Beacon or Cartographer or BTT Eddy, but this is in a much smaller package. Right now you do have to flash a special version of Clipper, which I will walk you through later on. And the cool thing about it is there are 2 ways to plug it in. You can use this module right here, which will plug right into your expansion 1. The other option is by using the included cable to plug it into your BL Touch port. It's the same wiring as your BL Touch if you're just replacing that. So let's go ahead and get this mounted into its holder, and then we'll take our 2.5 and we will get this routed and mounted onto the back of the tool head. Okay, our BD sensor is now mounted, so moving on. So now we have our breakout board, which I'll mount today, as well as our cable holder. And these just sandwich up against each other. And we'll use an M3x10, two M3x10 screws. Next up is our end stop. So let's go ahead and grab that. And this, we're gonna need 2 M2x10 screws. So I'm gonna grab those. Okay, so I have 2 small M2x10 screws. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount this to the back of the tool head. And now we're gonna move on to the electronics. So I think this is a good stopping point for today. We have routed the belts, installed the stepper motors, and installed the tool head. So we're getting very close to having this project completed. Thank you so much for tuning in. And in the next one, we'll go ahead and we'll get all the electronics mounted and maybe even turn this thing on. So again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.